Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, March 15th, 2021. Precipitation for the past 14 days is shown here with the observed amounts on the left and the percent of normal on the right. We did have a pretty good storm come across the southern Great Basin last week, bringing some pretty good precip amounts to mainly the higher elevations of southern and eastern Utah. Pretty dry over the last couple of weeks over the north. Snow for the past 72 hours is shown here, mainly over northeast and eastern Utah in the past few days. And snow depth is shown on the right, looking at a pretty healthy snowpack across Idaho, western Wyoming, and still somewhat below normal across much of the higher elevations of Utah, but definitely not as bad as it was looking in January. This morning's satellite image is showing that big area of low pressure that brought cooler temperatures and precipitation to the Great Basin having moved off to the east, but we do have another low over Northern California beginning to move into Nevada that will bring some weather to the Great Basin today and tomorrow. So for today, we can see that low moving further south and cutting across the southern Great Basin, bringing some precipitation today. With high ventilation rates across much of the geographic area. Out of the head of that low, we'll see strong gusty winds mainly over southern and southeast Nevada and western Utah. Mixing heights are also pretty high in those same areas across much of Nevada and Utah. On Tuesday, that low will quickly move further east, and we'll see some showers and cooler temperatures move into the eastern portions of the Great Basin, particularly Utah, on Tuesday, with ventilation rates pretty high across the region as well. On Tuesday, the winds lighten up across the Great Basin, maybe picking up just a bit over the eastern Utah, and mixing heights remain pretty favorable across much of the area. On Wednesday, we'll begin to see kind of the break in the weather for the midweek, with some drying moving in and a little ridge across the Great Basin bringing some slightly warmer temperatures. Ventilation rates decrease just a bit by Wednesday. Very light winds across the geographic area as that ridge builds in on Wednesday, and mixing heights aren't terrible but aren't that great either. The clearing index for the next few days for Utah is shown here, with some pretty high values over the west and southern portions of the state today, decreasing on Tuesday and further decreasing by Wednesday when we'll see generally light winds area-wide. The 3-day precipitation totals are shown here. As this low moves into the Great Basin today and tomorrow, we're mainly going to see that precipitation over Nevada today and into Utah tomorrow, and up into Wyoming as well tomorrow, but Idaho stays on the drier side through this one. Thursday looks to be a generally calm day as well as we set up for the next low pressure system moving into the Pacific Northwest. Could see some cooler temperatures and precipitation moving into the far western fringes of the area by Thursday. Ventilation rates are not terrible across Utah and Nevada, poor across the south or the north. On Friday, we'll see that trough continue to move further eastward, bringing some precipitation to portions of northern and central Great Basin. Ventilation rates are favorable over Nevada, but continue to be low over Idaho and Utah. And by Saturday, that precipitation will continue. This is Saturday evening. Some of that precipitation will linger through the day on Saturday, and by Saturday evening, it will move off to the east. Ventilation rates are pretty high on Saturday across the geographic area. And then by Sunday, that trough kind of remains in place with some cooler temperatures, maybe some dryness across the east, but maybe a little bit more moisture moving in across the north. So a fairly active pattern this week with some storminess today and tomorrow, and then a break midweek, and then that next storm coming in for the weekend. The accumulation totals for days 4 and 5 are shown here. This is Thursday through Saturday. Again, looking at that precip for the weekend is going to mainly target Idaho, northern Nevada, and northern Utah. And then on Saturday, we'll see more of that precipitation over northern Utah. So the early week storm will come into Utah and Nevada, and then the weekend storm will move into Idaho. The extended forecast from the Climate Prediction Center for March 8th through the 14th, shown here, is calling for below normal temperatures across the geographic area through the middle of March, and above normal chances for precipitation during that same time frame. So we still are looking for an active pattern to continue at least through the middle of the month. And this concludes today's smoke dispersion briefing. Please check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.